It's KC 101, time for another edition of Saturday with Seniors, brought to you by FCCB, your local bank, First Citizens Community Bank, sponsoring Saturday with Seniors. And today's guest, I should say, is James Pautz, joining us from Westfield. And hello, James, and good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for coming down and joining us for our program.
Okay.
Well, I got to ask your age here because, well, we that's the whole part of the program. How old are you?
Just turned 85 in December.
Well, happy birthday. And how many of those years have you lived in Tioga County?
We moved to Tioga County in 1973, but we had lived in Bradford County in Wells Township, which is on the eastern border of Tioga County.
So you've lived in this area through most of your life?
All my life.
All your life you lived in this area. So tell me about growing up there. What did your parents do?
My parents were small farmers. I had an uncle that was a custom operator through the thrashing and filling the silos and stuff like that, but it was a small farm.
And did you work on the farm as a kid?
Yes.
How young were you when you first started working on the farm, when you first had responsibilities?
I was put in charge of the poultry at an age of about 6 or 7 years old. We was poultry and small dairy, so everybody had their duties.
So how early did your day start? Before the sunrise?
Before the sunrise is right.
And tell me about the schooling. Where was your first school?
Well, the first school was a one-room school on Doty Hill, was the area between Wellsburg, New York, and Gillett, Pennsylvania, up on the hill.
And how did you get to school? Was there a bus that picked you up, or?
Walked, but we only went a quarter of a mile.
Oh, so you were lucky. I'm sure some people had a little further to go.
Exactly right.
Uh-huh.
Some of them rode in with the teachers, some walked.
So this was a one-room schoolhouse and several different grades, all in the same teacher?
At the time I went there, it was 1 through 8. Mm-hmm. You graduated from there, you went on to Troy High School, and you were pretty much on your own getting there.
Uh-huh. So tell me about growing up. What were some of the things that you liked to do for entertainment? Obviously, we had no video games and cell phones and everything back then. How did you entertain yourself those years?
Everybody entertained themselves. You had ball games, you did sledding, ride downhill, and then when you got old enough, you started to hunt. But my dad and my uncle hauled canned milk into a Dairyman's League plant in Wellsburg, New York, which was just a short distance down over the hill. Mm-hmm. But the ironic part of it is I used to ride down at probably the age of 5 or something like that, was sitting there waiting for the milk to be delivered, and it was right beside the Erie Railroad tracks. What goes around comes around. We seen the troop trains go by with the soldiers, flat cars with tanks and artillery and all this other stuff. Kind of same thing right now. The same guy was perpetuating this. We often wondered how many of these guys that we seen go by in the troop train never came home.
Wow.
Going to New York City, getting prepared for D-Day.
You still have that memory right there in your...
Well, this deal with Ukraine kind of parallels that, It makes you stop and think about it.
You've been around long enough to be able to remember the history to compare, whereas a lot of our younger generation doesn't.
Exactly right, because I was like in grade school. World War II was raging. We had drives, to save tin cans and smash them down flat. Victory gardens, anything you could do to help.
You have air raids in school and all that?
No, we never did, really. Actually, the one-room school that I went to didn't even have electricity into it. Mm-hmm. So you was limited to what you could do,
Yeah. I imagine back during that time period, you didn't see a plane too often in the sky around here either.
Actually,
way,
we did. A lot of the times when there was like a hurricane in Florida, they would scramble the planes out of there and head them north to get away from the hurricanes, and it was just like a swarm of bees, and you wondered at the time. And we were south of Elmira, where there was a real war effort going on, the Remington Rand plant, the Eclipse plant, and building the Army trucks and tanks at the LaFrance plants in Elmira.
I didn't realize it was that busy around here.
Oh, yeah.
What was your first job that you took coming out of high school?
Well, I went to work summer times in a truck garden in Elmira, New York. So we stayed with the farming and then foolishly took a job and bought a milk truck and was hauling canned milk into Columbia Crossroads. That was actually my first job. But first job I had was helping hay at 25 cents a day. So... So the next year we got 50 cents and it got up to $1.
That's a big raise going. They doubled your salary from 25 cents a day to 50 cents a day.
Yeah.
And those were long, hard days haying the field.
But, you got 2 meals a day, to go along with it. So it worked out pretty good. It was the neighbors and
People seem to appreciate what they had more then, didn't they? I mean, now they complain about what they don't have as opposed to appreciating what they do have.
Right, exactly.
So your first car. Tell me about your first car. When did you get one? What did you get?
Well, I bought the first one in 1953, and it was a 1947 Chevrolet Stylemaster. $700.
My first car was $600, so you had a pretty darn good car if it was $700.
Well, at the time, Chevrolet had two models. They had the Stylemaster and the Fleetmaster, and this was a cheaper variety of what Chevrolet offered, But it was a used car, and at the time, I guess you'd say it was a modern automobile, but compared to today, it was really nothing.
And where'd you go with your automobile when you first got it? The drive-in movie theater, the car hops? Where were the fun places to go?
I actually never did use the thing too much. My mother worked at Moore Business Farms in Elmira, and that was transportation for her and me and whatnot, so it was a share deal.
Yeah, it was pretty common for a family to only have one car. I mean, that was the
actually,
normal.
we had two because they had taken the one-room school up, and my dad got the job of hauling the kids to a centralized township school, really, in Gillette, Pennsylvania. So that car was involved every day, hauling kids. So you had to have the second car.
Wow. We'll be right back here. It is Saturday with Seniors, brought to you by FCCB here on KC101. You're listening to Saturday with Seniors here on KC101. A big sponsor thank you going out to FCCB, First Citizens Community Bank, building better communities for over 150 years, member FDIC. FCCB's Tioga County offices are located in Wellsboro, Mansfield, and Blossburg, and they're proud to sponsor Saturday with Seniors here on KC101. We'll return to the program in just